Hello and welcome to this week's instalment of the Pundits Preview. I'm delighted to be joined by Stoke City reporter Peter Smith. Peter, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Looking forward to an interesting match this weekend. I think it'll be I'm not sure which way it's going to go. A few injury worries and let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will be a really interesting game. Obviously, Stoke are eighth in the Championship so far. Just give us a flavour of their season.
I think that the key thing for Stoke this season has been to be a lot more difficult to beat than last year. It was a very tough season, and there's definitely been progress. The summer signings have all come in and made a big difference. Added experience to the spine, John Obi McCall and Stephen Fletcher in particular. They've kept clean sheets. They've been really tough to break down. And they've got creative players in the team too, like Nick Powell and Tyrese Campbell, who've really made a difference. They can be match winners. So everything's starting to click together. They've reached the quarterfinals of the League Cup as well, and they're 1 point outside the playoffs. There's a real opening this season. It feels like in such a tight championship that if they get a good wind and a bit of momentum, then they could be right in there. But at the same time, they know if they lose a couple of games, then they're going to be looking over the shoulder at mid-table. I think that's going to be the key, whether they're a mid-table team or whether they can push for the playoffs. And hopefully there's a challenge in them.
Yeah, that's absolutely the beauty of the Championship as well, isn't it? I mean, since Michael O'Neill's took over, he's kind of steadied the ship. What's changed this year to turn them into a side that is pushing for the playoffs?
I think, to be fair, Michael O'Neill, just to put it in perspective, when he came in, I think Stoke were probably favourites to go down. They were bottom of the Championship, really devoid of confidence, and players didn't know where the next one was coming from. But with pretty much the same squad, from November until the end of the last season, he was able to have pretty much playoff form. An incredible turnaround, really, even though they were playing catch up to such an extent. It was only the penultimate game when they secured their safety, ended up in 14th. This season, the squad's a lot stronger, I think. They've had to cope with injuries. They've got Sam Clucas and Joe Allen, who've missed most of the season. Ryan Shawcross has been out at the back. But they've been able to take those blows and carry on picking up results. They're well placed at the moment. And Michael O'Neill has tried to keep a consistent starting 11 as much as possible. It'll be interesting to see how much he can do that over the next few weeks when there's so many games coming so quickly. But yeah, he's in a good place at the moment.
Yeah, the schedule is something that's particularly interesting, and obviously with that, before we have, I think it's 12 games from this game all the way until the 2nd of Jan. Yeah. The international break would have been really important, wouldn't it? Do you think Michael O'Neill would have given the players a lot of time off? What kind of things do you think they'd have been working on in the break as well?
Well, yeah. Well, first off, international break. Two of the players who Stoke sent away, James McLean has come back with a positive COVID result, and Jordan Thompson's picked up with what we think is ligament damage. So that's great. The two players who he sent off have not come back. But the chance that he has had with the players who've stayed, they had a few days off last week. That they haven't had, apart from international breaks since the end of August. They've played midweek and weekend. They've had 4 cup games to add into the Championship matches as well. So he's been able to use a lot of players because there's been so many fixtures. But there's also some players who he hasn't had a chance to look at properly because there haven't been. Training has just been either recovery or preparation. There's players like Thibaut Verlinden, who's a really talented young winger, been injured since February. This is his first chance to impress the manager in training. So that's interesting as well. So I think it's been a really useful 2 weeks, and hopefully they're coming out of it fresh.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of people that are missing out there. There's a bit of a goalkeeper crisis going on as well, isn't there, at Stoke at the minute?
Yeah, that's right. Adam Davies, first off, he came in July to replace Jack Butland, stepped up when Butland was injured, and he's been terrific. He joined from Barnsley in the summer of 2019. He's kept a string of clean sheets. And then when Butland left on deadline day, Angus Gunn came in as replacement, not knowing when he was going to get a game, really. But then Davies suffered a knee ligament injury in late October, out for up to 8 weeks. So Angus Gunn stepped up, and then Angus Gunn has been injured during the international break as well. He's got an ankle injury, and we think it's sort of probably up to 6 weeks as well for him. I'm told that he's a good healer, quick healer, so maybe he'll be back sooner than that. But at the moment, we're expecting a debut tomorrow. Well, in fact, there is going to be a debut tomorrow because there's no other goalkeeper around who's played a game for Stoke. They've recalled Joe Bursick from Doncaster Rovers. He made his England under-21s debut on Tuesday, so quite a week for him. He's only 20, really well thought of. But yeah, it's a big step up. Played in League One, on loan at Accrington Stanley last season, Doncaster this season. And the other option that Michael O'Neill has got is a 19-year-old called Blondie Nanuku, who grew up in Belgium, but he's played for Cameroon under 21s too. And this season he's been called up to the Cameroon senior squad. Oh, wow. So these two aren't mugs, but we genuinely haven't seen them, especially this year when we haven't really been able to go to youth matches as well. Yeah. So it's into the unknown a lot, and everybody's keeping their fingers crossed that they don't have too much to do tomorrow.
Yeah, it will certainly be interesting in terms of formation, style of play. For Huddersfield Town fans that haven't seen too much of Stoke under Michael O'Neill, what can they expect?
Well, we expect the unexpected at the moment. We're not sure whether he'll go with a back three or a back four, but apart from that, he's been pretty reliable with how he sets up. I imagine he'll go with a back three tomorrow to offer the young goalkeeper, whoever it is, a bit more protection. And there's some experience in there as well. James Chester, Danny Bart, alongside Harry Suter, who's been terrific this season. Wing backs and John Abraham Mikel sitting in the middle, and then you have Nick Powell floating around the top behind Stephen Fletcher and Tyrese Campbell, who's been operating as a wide forward. In fact, New Year's Day at Huddersfield was the first time that we'd seen Campbell in this new position that he's playing. He scored twice that day. A really good game for Stoke fans, good memories, and I'm sure it's quite the reverse from your perspective.
Thanks for that.
Sorry.
And obviously, like you said, Tyrese Campbell, Stephen Fletcher, Nick Powell behind. There's a lot of goals across that kind of front four, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And for the last 2 or 3 years before Michael O'Neill came, you're almost, as a reporter covering Stoke, you could almost get on with some work during the game at certain points because you knew that nothing was going to happen when Stoke were in possession. But finally, Stoke looked like they can score at any time during the match. They're really decent on the counter-attack. Got players who can create something out of nothing, pace in key areas and creativity, a bit of flair. And they're also very good at set pieces. They've got a couple of players who've got really good delivery, Sam Klukas and Jordan Thompson. And yeah, they're looking at danger if ever they have a corner kick, which is music to Stoke fans' ears.
Yeah, and just finally, they look more solid at the back as well, don't they?
Yeah, to be fair, in the 3 or 4 weeks before the international break, there were I think 3 or 4 games when they conceded 2, which Michael O'Neill's clamped down on a bit because since July, when he made his first switch to 3 at the back, they've had a real happy knack of keeping clean sheets, and I think that's going to be the way going forward. If you can't win, don't lose. That's his mantra, and it's holding Stoke in good stead.
There we go. Huddersfield Town fans, all you need to know about Stoke City. Peter, thank you so much for giving us such a fantastic insight.